Good morning, everyone. Hello.
Hello, happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. Yes, the
Hello.
28th already. Well, actually, the 29th for our viewers in Australia and New Zealand.
The
Um,
last Saturday of 2024.
the last one, yeah, the last,
Yes, the last livecast of the
last,
year.
well, the last roundup of the year.
Yes.
Well, roundup. Oh.
We have a few more elf casts, but yeah, the last roundup. So welcome everyone who's live with us and in the chat, and those who are watching afterwards. And a special welcome. We have a special guest again this week. We have
Ta-da!
Christine.
Welcome,
How are you,
Christine.
Christine?
No, thank you.
Christine is our member of the week, and she's from Ireland.
Joining us from Ireland, yes.
Yeah, do we have John Tyner in the chat?
Oh,
we haven't said hello to.
we
Sure,
haven't
yes,
said hello
should
to everyone.
we
So
meet,
Anne Fiordalisi was the first one to join us. So welcome, Anne. Then Ozzy, who's already on Sunday, where she is, and Amanda. And then who else do we have here? Hillary from Wales is here. Susie Carda, Veg Beauty, Andy Alam. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you, Andy. Christine Daniels, one of our fellow lead elves, is here in the chat. Mohavelin is here as well. Beata Isabel Hauer is from Austria. Yoke from the Netherlands is joining us. Victor, good time zone to you as well. I love when he does that. Tommy Buck, Louisiana, I think, is where he hails from. Sue Creer and Doris Lanier, Christine Miller, Douglas Huseman, and everyone else who joins like seconds after I stop reading names, and there'll be a whole list of names that will just pop up, which I'll end up ignoring.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Robert Cowan, just to prove my point.
Yeah, we have new names.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Welcome.
Yeah.
It's great to have you.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have our friend Christine from Dublin, the member of the week. Christine, you're a WikiTree since 2014, right?
That's right. Yes.
That's right. And how did you find WikiTree? And
Well,
how did you start in genealogy?
How did I start in genealogy? Oh, that's a long story. I started back in, it would have been in the early 60s when I was a teenager, and I listened to my father's sisters talking about their lives, and then they said that their grandfather had gone off to Australia he had 7 children by my great-grandmother, and she died of tuberculosis when the youngest child was 3. And then within a year, he married another woman who he'd known for years. She was kind of nearly part of the family anyway. And they had 7 children. And when I think when the 5th child was born, they decided to go to Australia, and he took some of the first family and some of the second family, and off he went. But my grandmother was already married and settled in England, and 2 of her brothers were. So those 3 didn't go. So they stayed behind. But some of their children kept in touch with the Australian family in the beginning, but by the time I became interested, they'd lost touch. Only my eldest aunt was in touch with one of the children over there, and they were both very old. So by that time, they didn't really remember the names. They remembered some names, and I wrote them down in a kind of pencil-written family tree on the back of an old photograph packet, which was all I could find at the time, and. I kept this, I kept it nearly all my life until I put everything online. And I kept hoping I'd find out more one day, but I didn't find out anything until much later on that line, but it sort of got me interested. And then when I was 19, I was living in a flat very near to Somerset House, which was at that time the main place for doing research, birth, marriage, death records. And every Saturday morning, I had a friend that did Bally in Drury Lane, and she used to drive down to her Bally class, and she dropped me on the bridge, and I'd go into Somerset House and do a couple of hours research. And that was how I started. I was 19 at the time, and I didn't fill my tree out much, but I started with my own family, and then it went back by generations. And I kept doing that really all the time. And I lived in London quite a lot of the time I was in England. Then I went to Birmingham eventually, and it wasn't so easy. But I didn't get online now till I came over to Ireland in 97. about 1997, 98. And then I sort of discovered that you could do things online. I don't know how I came across a legacy tree. I think I put somebody's name as a search and it came up. And I didn't know I didn't even know about online trees or anything like that. So I was just messing around really. Then I found My Heritage and I built a tree there. And then they told me I'd have to pay because I had too many people. And you see, being a nun, I had no means of paying. I couldn't pay because I had no money. So I had no objection, but it's just I couldn't. So I started fishing around for free sites where I could add as many people as I wanted. And I came on WikiTree, but I still didn't know about collaborative trees at that point. And then when I found it was, I thought this is a brilliant idea because, otherwise you've just got loads of duplicates and you're not really linking in. And this seemed to me much more sensible. So I signed up straight away as soon as I found it.
Wow. And you've been very active in many projects, right? You were part of the England project, even Canada project, right?
Just
But
briefly,
now you're most active in another project. Tell us about it.
Well, I researched one of our Carmelite saints, Edith Stein. I've written quite a bit about her over the years. And she was killed in the Holocaust in Auschwitz. And so I was following anything that came up about that just for interest in her. And then I got this book, which is called Edith Stein and Her Companions on the Way to Auschwitz. If I got it here. I haven't. It's not far away, I know. Anyway, I got the book and it had 83 people who were on that transport, were all listed, and there were biographies of quite a lot of them. So I decided when I saw that appeal for the Auschwitz 2025, I said, well, at least I could put the people in the book up. So I started doing that. And I've just finished it. I just finished it a couple of weeks ago.
Wow.
The 83. No, that's not all of them, but that's the 83 that are in the book. And some of them are very full. They've got very detailed lives and photographs of the people, and others are just lists with birth and death, So, but at least it was, their names are there. So that was what I was working on recently. And then a lady in the chat following my written interview mentioned Saint Teresa. She said, I wonder is Saint Teresa of Avila on the WikiTree. So I said, I don't know, but I'll find out. So I put her name up last night, I think, or the night before. And there she was, all right enough. But she had, I think, I don't know how many siblings exactly, but a large, maybe 12. I think there were 12 of them in the family. And there was only 2 of them on the tree. So, of course, last night I started adding a family. That's how I do it. I don't really have a plan. I just kind of get involved in things as I come on them. And it was the same with my own research. I didn't know we had Huguenots in our family, but I did know we had French. And of course, the French were actually getting away from the persecutions of the Huguenots in France when they came over to England. I knew they were weavers in the East End of London, but I hadn't at that stage realized they were Huguenots. And then when I started researching them, I found that they were. So I joined that project as well. And then there was various ones I kind of came on, and then I got involved in them just as I met them. Really, I didn't sort of set out to do that, but I switched around according to what I found, I suppose you could say. So.
Yeah, well, we all do lots of stuff around WikiTree, but I didn't see that in your interview. Do you ever join connectathons and challenges?
No, I didn't.
Or you just work on projects?
I was working on, I love the research, for an individual person and kind of finding out about their life and following them through. So I've just been doing that really. I started off with my own family doing that. And then I just got into these things because I came across them. I wasn't really looking for getting more work, but when I met them, I felt, oh, this is not complete. I want to make it more complete, If I had some kind of connection with a thing. I haven't really done. I've done 1 or 2 England things, kind of the games things, where you choose somebody from a firm or I can't remember what ones I did. I know I did Spencer from Marks and Spencer's. It was a kind of shop thing. One of the challenges, the England challenges. I've done a few of those. The supermarket rush one I did. I've done a few like that, but just odd times, Not anything long term, because I have so much long term stuff that I'm working on that I feel I mustn't take on anymore.
We all have that problem.
I'm sure. Yeah, yeah. You see, when you see something that's interesting, it's easy to get diverted, isn't it? And then you realise you've got a string of unfinished profiles behind you. So
Mhm.
Right. And you see this as part of your legacy, right?
yeah, I do, because that was really why I wanted to get online with my tree, because I felt I'd spent hours and hours doing research, especially when I was younger. I used to spend all day on Saturday sometimes in the record offices and Chancery Lane, and like in the London ones, because most of my family, my father's family, were all living in London, and we had lots of relatives in the Stepney area and into Essex, and so I was looking up those records in Chancery Lane, looking for wills, looking for censors, and I mean, this was before there was any online or anything like that. So it did take a long time. It took much longer than it does now to find out anything, because you just put it up and you find it mostly, or it doesn't take too long to find a thing now. But it took hours, sometimes weeks, and I didn't want all that time to be wasted. So I was just glad to be able to put it up there and share it.
Oh, thank you. That's so inspiring, Christine.
Yeah. And there's some really
Yeah.
good parish records in England that you can look up. They give you a lot of detail. And there's a site called Free Reg for England, and you can get the whole record on there free. The whole birth record, or marriage, baptism, and of course you get loads of family links on that. So
Well, that's
that's a long way.
amazing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We're very fortunate because we can go back much further than a lot of countries. We can go back to the 1500s, and if you're lucky, if you live in the right place.
Right.
So some counties wouldn't be as good as others.
Mhm.
I have Norfolk ones going back to the 1500s, and I have Devon and Devon and Somerset records going back to the 1500s,
Mhm.
and that's just from doing parish records and going back without really a lot of searching. Just taking the parents' names and going another generation. So
Nice. I
Nice.
just put a link to that
Thank
in the chat. The
thank you.
freereg.org.uk.
yeah,
That's the one.
that's it.
Oh, great. Well, thank you for coming, Christine. You're such an example of what a researcher is, and you like to do bios too, which is not very
Yeah, I do.
common.
Yes, I do
Yes.
those. I was doing them more than I am now, because the Holocaust sort of took me away from it a bit. But I will get back to them, because I am interested in doing them and building up good profiles. I think it's nice.
That's
It's
nice.
satisfying to see somebody comes to life, getting the whole of their life, and not just little bits and
Oh,
pieces.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm always so inspired when I meet a researcher like you, Christine, who started during the pre-digital time of research.
Yes.
And so,
A real researcher.
yes.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, you're awesome. So
That's right.
Oh,
So, Christine,
great.
I was going to say you're a Carmelite, and you said there are some sister houses in Canada.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are you familiar? There's a website that just started a few years ago. It's called Genealogy. It's a French website, but it collects records for all of the religious members who have passed away.
Oh, no, I didn't
And
know that one.
basically, their
That's not
tagline is "the forgotten of genealogy," because, of course, most religious don't have
Yeah,
progeny
they don't have
to
families, so
continue
somebody's
on the
aunts and
family
uncles.
trees.
Yeah.
So a lot of them, the brothers, sisters, priests, don't, sort of their records kind of get lost.
Yeah,
So this
because they don't have direct descendants. It's like
Right.
sort of.
that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'll put a link to that in the.
Yeah, do that would be
In
really
the-
interesting. I've not come across that one at all.
Yeah, I'll just put a link there.
And we actually have good records of religious, because we have the
Oh, you would have
profession
the
book.
access to those good records, right?
Yeah, but I mean, anybody that knows which convent they were in, or even if they
Yes.
know the diocese, they can kind of get hold of them. I mean, they might have to write letters, and they wouldn't probably do much on the internet, but they could find out, because we have the date we made our profession is written in, and the names of our parents, and if they were living or dead at the time. So that's kind of a good start, isn't it? Somebody.
Yes, it is.
That's
And
neat.
do you do Carmelite saints from all over the world?
Well, it's usually ones I have some kind of connection with. I do. I mean, mostly they'd be European. Although I have done Chile. I have done them actually. I did do a little booklet on Teresa of the Andes, who's from Chile.
Oh, that's
and
why I was asking. Yeah, we have two
Yeah.
saints. Only have two saints in Chile, and one of them is a Carmelite.
Oh,
Yes, yeah. And
who's
she was the
that?
first, I think. Yes. Yes, I have. I've done
Yes.
a little book on her.
Oh,
A very little
great.
one. It's only about 32
I'll
pages.
search
But
for that profile. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'd find it, but I can probably show you a copy.
Of
It's just
course.
very
Yes, of course I would. Yes, and I've been to the sanctuary and stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Santa Teresa.
Santa Teresa.
Teresa
It was
de
either
los
going to be Maria
Andes.
or Teresa, right?
No, that's it.
Teresa of the Andes. Oh,
Yeah.
Look at
yeah,
that.
that's the
It's
one.
only
Teresa of
tiny.
the
It's just a
Andes.
little short book. Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
I know you can't get it from there. Really, that place is closed. But that's it anyway. And it was
That's in
privately
English.
published. I did it with a trust that I was running at the time, and before I entered Carmel, I actually wrote that one before I entered. Oh, no, I didn't. No, I wrote that one after I entered. I wasn't in this Carmel. I was in one across the river in Northside Dublin that closed, and I wrote that there. And we published it in the Carmel. That's it.
Look at that. Okay.
Excellent.
Well, I'll see that profile and see if I can help with more info.
Yeah, just add to it. Yeah.
Great.
I don't think I put her profile up though. I'll have to do that. That's another one to
Oh,
you see.
Then I will do it.
Yeah, you do it. Great.
Yeah,
Yes.
great. And I'll share it with you. Great.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
oh, Christine, this has been a wonderful interview.
That's right.
Yes, thank you so much for all your work, for everything you've done in WikiTree, and for being such an inspiration for us.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
Christine,
so
I'd like you to introduce you to another Christine.
yeah, Elf Christine.
Hello.
Good
Hi,
morning.
Christine.
Good morning.
Good morning. What a
It's
lovely
afternoon here, but
interview.
still.
I am just
Sorry?
fascinated listening. I forgot I was even in backstage.
Sorry.
Well, Christine, we are having a Secret Santa kind of challenge or game that we do each year,
Oh, yes,
and we'll
yeah.
introduce you to it now. We'll tell you how it's going, our progress. We'll tell you all about it. So please stay with us. I know you have to leave in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So you're invited to stay.
Yeah.
Just
I can see
for
that.
how long you want.
Yeah. Grand. Thank you.
And please participate, and we're hanging out here. So Santa.
Yeah. So our elves have been absolutely so busy. As you know, when we started last week, we had well over 300 profiles on the list. And this morning, our wish received numbers are down to 182, still waiting to be looked at. Our in-progress profiles are up to 61. And I know some of these are flipping back and forth a little bit, but we're still progressing upwards. Our Check It Twice category has 59 profiles, and our completed category has 45 profiles. Now, that doesn't mean solved. It just means that the full extent of the research that can be found by that elf has been completed. And then last night I created another category for brick-walled wishes that we're just completely unable to find anything new on. And we do have one profile in that category this morning. So we are trying very hard to get all of those wish received at least looked at by somebody and into another category. I know some of the elves have been in contact with their wishies, and they are collaborating with them. So the no peeking rule is completely at the window, which is fine. It's past Christmas, so it's all right. So yeah, some of the wishies are getting a lot of help and a lot of direction, and there's been a lot of back and forth on the Discord channel, and it's been absolutely lovely totally wonderful this year to see everybody collaborating and working together to get all of these wishes looked at.
Oh, great. It's awesome. Great. Thank you, Christine.
Yeah.
Hey, Greg, why don't you tell or Christine Frost what is the Secret Santa about? Maybe someone in our audience has no idea what we're talking about.
That's a good.
Oh no, well I have an idea because I've read it on the.
Oh, good.
I've read something about it on Wiki. So I have a bit of an idea what you're talking about, but I haven't been involved in it.
Yeah.
That's good. So yeah, basically we put together a post at the beginning of December and opened it up to any WikiTreeer that wanted to submit a wish, something that they've been working on, or in many cases it was a brick wall that they've run up against, and they're hoping for someone to get them one step further or whatever, or find out records, you know, a marriage record or a birth record or an ancestor. There was one where there was a letter that they wanted translated, and it's in this
it's in High German,
almost undecipherable chicken scratch. You think it's High German, but
it's also High German, which is it's a combination of handwriting that you can't decipher.
Yeah, and they probably have a lot of accents. Yeah. I find that difficult when you get these letters and they're all accented and they don't look like normal Roman script, even though they are. You know?
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. When I first looked at that, I thought, is that Nordic runes they're writing in? You know, it seems so angular, and it was just hard to.
And it's a very strong handwriting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not faded. There's not ink blotches all over it. It's quite clear. Just nobody knows how to read it.
Yeah. Well, I saw a translation made by the AI of that letter, and it's not a letter. It's something that someone gave to someone for good luck, and they said, "Keep it with you," and it seems to be a prayer, a beautiful prayer that. Asking God to keep that people safe. In summary,
that sounds nice.
Yeah. Well, what
we are still looking for elves. If anybody out there is feeling ambitious.
Yes. So the answer is yes, Veggie Beauty.
Well, actually, so I think what Veg Beauty is asking about is the 12 days of Elfmas.
We are still going for another week.
But one of the things that we've been doing is, since last Monday, we've been broadcasting every day. And in fact, we have our next one coming up at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. So in an hour and a half, in a couple minutes, we actually have Elf Danny from Germany is going to talk about how he solved some German wishes and give us a little bit on background on some German research, which is very exciting. And so we've been doing different things each day. So we did I I took a long time apparently explaining my Quebec research for a wish I did not realize that I had made our little, what I was supposed to be like a little 20-minute elf cast into a full roundup sized hour long.
It's okay, Greg.
Yeah, and then we profiled some Italian research, and we've done a bunch of other stuff. So we've got spots, and we've got a couple spots that we haven't nailed down which day, but we do have a few openings left. So if you, we haven't done any down under research yet for Australia or New Zealand or South Africa. We haven't done any from South Africa or Chile for that matter.
And we can put a bunch of elves together and do.
We can do a whole massive, so we're hoping to do that, and we probably will highlight some of the brick walls one of the days as well, just to let people know that, you know, we've tried this hard and this is what we can do, because we have added research notes to all of those. Even if we haven't got any further, at least we've added research notes about what we tried and what didn't work out, or some possible leads to go next.
A lot of elves are running into problems with common surnames and mistranscriptions.
Oh, yeah.
So when you have a family with a unique surname, but then they get mistranscribed in the records. It makes it all the more difficult to find them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Well.
Yeah.
So we're in the middle point of Secret Santa, and we have
We're halfway through.
something like 50% of progress. So we're doing fine.
I think we're doing well. Yeah. And so the roundup next week will be devoted to the result. We'll be doing a lot of that for next week, and hopefully we'll have all of the lead elves join us at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So next week it will be at this time, right?
This time, 10 o'clock.
It'll be a special edition.
Special edition. Final LiveCast / roundup.
Yes.
Nice.
So who's next? Are we done with the Secret Santa?
Well, I can do question of the week.
Go for it.
Okay.
So, question of the week is, what is your fondest memory of a holiday past? And I really liked this question of the week because I knew going in that they were all going to be happy answers. I was right. We have 16 answers. I can't leave any out. So, yeah. I didn't have a chance to see if Caroline is Danish, but it does sound that way. She was talking about 1963, and the damn Danish trolls were at all the rage at our schools. And so she and her sister really, really wanted some of these dolls. There was a dress pattern company that had created a pattern for making troll clothes out of felt. And her mother dressed every troll and laid them out all in a row under the tree on Christmas morning. So
that's great.
Makes me think of the Cabbage Patch doll craze that we had over here in the States.
Yeah. That's right.
Absolutely. I remember that.
Yeah. Betsy, can you zoom in just a little bit?
Oh, yes, of course. Sorry, you have to remind me every time.
I know, me too. I'm the same.
So this is a good one. I'm sure many people gave or received a DNA test kit for Christmas. Eric says, if it was not for that, I would not be a genealogist. Chris Fariolo, happy belated birthday. Chris's birthday was yesterday. Says if he has to pick just one, he would go with this one from the mid-'80s. My brother and I were into Transformers, one of the biggest toy lines of the era. We got a ton of Transformers one year, and I remember my Aunt Linda helping us put the decals on the toys, which I believe is a bit fussy, sort of
finicky work. Yeah,
finicky. That's the right word. But she wanted to, and she even played with them for a bit while my parents cooked dinner with my grandma Ollie. And talks about his grandma Ollie would stay with us until my birthday or New Year's. We'd pick her up on Christmas Eve and she'd be with us for the holidays. I remember her smiling at my brother and I as we dive into our presents like a pair of ravenous wolves. And this came with a photo, and three guesses. Who submitted it?
Let me think.
Alexis Nelson.
Alexis Nelson.
Hey.
Of her cousins, I believe, Carolyn and Jeffrey. And she said several Christmas Eves in the 50s, her aunt, uncle, and their two children would surprise us on Christmas Eve by driving from Colorado or Nebraska. And they thought that it was just going to be Alexis, her mother, and her two grandmothers. And then ding dong, the doorbell would ring about 8 p.m. on Christmas Eve, and we would have a wonderful Christmas Eve. And she was particularly close to these siblings, both younger than her by a few years, but more like younger siblings than cousins. So love that. Thank you, Alexis. Oh, the little shoes.
Oh, yeah.
This is fun. If anyone's looking for a photo idea, Heather Williams writes, I have 3 siblings, and each Christmas, no matter where we lived, my dad would always make us wait together and come in either the door or down the stairs and take a group candid photo. I was looking at some the other day, first just my older sister than me, and then successive years adding in siblings as they were born. So that's a great idea. Jill Whitehouse says, Father Christmas, also known as Dad, filling my stocking at about midnight and me emptying it shortly thereafter, entirely reading the horse novel, I think it was The Silver Brumbie, by torchlight, and eating the tangerine all before dawn. Way to get it done, Jill. And is Lisa? Lisa's in the chat, right?
I haven't seen her.
I haven't seen her.
Oh, well, she really painted a picture here. Her dad sadly passed when she was 12, so she remembers Christmas with my family before my dad passed. They were allowed to open their stockings as soon as they got up. There was always an orange in the toe. We got the little boxes of sweetened cereal for breakfast, and no one wanted the Raisin Bran. No presents were opened until my dad had breakfast and a pot of tea, her mom too, and he would then come in the room and hand out the presents one by one. There weren't many for any one person, but having 4 older siblings meant it still looked like a lot of presents. Plus, there were sibling gifts and gifts from one of my dad's aunts whom I've never met. I had always had to write Aunt Kathleen a thank you letter in the afternoon. And they played with their toys, had a delicious turkey dinner, pumpkin pie, Christmas cake. You went to bed with a full heart and a full tummy. Yeah, good memory. Kay Smith writes that there was that one year when all of the neighbors' dogs got into the kitchen and ate the turkey, and we had to go out for Chinese food.
Oh,
Dear.
My.
Mercedes Oglesby says, I love this question. And she actually is including this memory in a family history book that she's writing. Yeah, when she was about 4 years old, Christmas Eve, light snow on the ground outside. I was giving my mother a hard time, as children will do on this particular night. And when she was finally able to get me into my room to sleep for the night, she tucked me in and kissed my forehead. Just as she was closing the door, I heard bells right outside my window. This prompted her to peek back in my room and say, that's Santa, you better hurry to sleep. As a child, the magic of that moment was all I needed to drift off to sleep.
wow.
Though it was never said, I suspect it was my dad assisting my mom. That's a lovely story.
Nice.
Cora V. Caswell says, in 1948, my parents woke me to see the Christmas tree. It was a small cedar tree because no pines grow naturally here. But instead of the string of electric bulbs usually used, she had found her old candle clips and replicated the tree of her childhood. It stood on her treadle sewing machine in front of our full-length mirror. All the other lights were off. There's nothing quite like real candlelight through the sparse branches of cedar. My mother, Gladys Gould Roberts, passed away 6 months later. Very sorry. I'm so thankful I had this firsthand glimpse into the Christmas traditions of the generation before me. And also another one about oyster soup. Sometime during the season, my uncles got a shipment of oyster from the East Coast to Indiana on ice via rail for their mother to fix each year. They weren't wealthy people. It was an important food memory to carry on. Nancy Wilson said, no looking till Dad turned down the tree. I got up early and peeked. There was a new desk for me. We won't tell Nancy. Sue Ellen Walker, our youngest grandson. I've never heard of this, of like having an infant in a pageant. In my experience, it's always a doll, but our youngest grandson was born in November, and his first Christmas, he played Baby Jesus in a church play. His lines were very limited, but he spoke it well. He didn't cry. Good job. Now, this one is interesting. Peter Wetzel says that he posted on WikiTree his grandfather's profile, a letter that his grandfather wrote in 1956 about Christmas in Germany in 1897 when he was 11. Right? That's
wow.
a treasure. He said that letter provided hints to his mysterious childhood years, which he otherwise never talked about. And then, so Peter has a blog. So he wrote all about this road trip that he took with a college roommate in 1969, driving around the north shore of Lake Superior on Christmas Day after an overnight snow. And so I went there, and there are these amazing photos of Canada, and they actually assisted. They came upon a young couple whose car had turned over, and they were not hurt, but he and his roommate went and got help, and they got them on their way. But really, really nice. I love this blog. So thanks for sharing that with us, Peter. And Alice is often with us in the chat. The one I remember most is waking to find a bicycle under the tree. I found out that my father and friend worked on it all night next door at the friend's house to put it together for me. I wrote it that morning, even though there was snow on the ground, and had a blast. That was when I was in 4th grade. Mike Mobley says Christmas is in the 50s and 60s. That's when all of my grandparents, mom, dad, 2 of my great-grandparents and aunt were still with us, and they would all be together. And finally, we have Barry Strait. My family is from Texas, but we were military, stationed in California during Vietnam. Every Christmas, we would drive across the country to be with family. Both sets of grandparents and almost all the cousins lived close to each other, and we spent Christmas Eve with one side of the family and Christmas Day with the other, celebrating together. I think many people have that memory of just, before you just hopped on a plane, you would drive. So wonderful.
Very nice.
Yeah. So I do have one ancestor to celebrate, but I wanted to give a chance to say goodbye to Christine if she needs to.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I better go now. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Nice to be with you.
So nice.
Thank you for
Nice to meet you,
coming.
Christine.
Bye.
Merry Christmas.
See you. See you around the tree.
See you around the
Yes,
tree.
yes, indeed.
Thanks for all your
Bye,
work.
Christine.
Thank
Okay.
you. Bye.
Have a great day.
Bye.
She is so cute.
Yes.
Yes.
Wonderful.
I am so happy that we've been inviting the members of the week to come on, and almost everyone said yes. I know sometimes the schedule is not
Great to
favorable.
meet people.
I know, and put faces to names. I love that.
Yeah.
So I should have invited Victor on, because we're now going to celebrate one of his ancestors, one of his husband's ancestors, with a connection to December. So let me go back. We're looking, I'm going to make this a tiny bit smaller. How's that? Jerome Dadio. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Let me go over to the post. So the connection to December is that Jerome passed away December 8th, 2012. And it's his husband's great uncle. Jerome's sister, whose name is, Seth's grandma, and the sister is named Lucia, is still alive at 103 years old. Wow. Way to go. I am planning on focusing on Seth's family at least the early part of 2025, using information from Deanne I looked at this. I think there was a little typo with this. It's not Ohama. It's I can't remember. But if you search for Fortify Your Family Tree blog by Deanne, you'll find it. I was not familiar with that. So she gives quite a bit of information about researching Italian records online. So going back to Jerome, so he was born in Hartford, Connecticut in 1929. And then it seems like he moved to Acton in Maine at a fairly young age. We have a couple of records here. We have his obituary link, and he had lived in Acton since 1988. Who said, "Ooh"? What are we oohing about?
Oh, me.
Oh, yeah. What did you see, Vicki?
The page you're
okay. Yeah. So he went to high school there, self-employed as a plumbing and heating contractor, and co-owned and operated DeDeo's Plumbing and Heating with his brother Donald. And he was a member of the Lions Club. Loved his home and enjoyed working around the yard, especially growing tomatoes in his garden. So, nice to celebrate Jerome today. Thank you very much, Victor. So we do not have any photos for today. And I have sent a message to our WikiTreeers who run that challenge to find out what's going on for 2025, and I'll include the details in the G2G post.
Great.
Excellent. Okay.
Well, do you want to see their profile makeover before we go to
profile? Sure. Go right ahead.
Yes, we've had a long livecast, right? It seems to me we have a lot of content today.
And you're worried once I start on, it won't stop.
Well, this is mine. Could you share my screen?
Oh, sure.
Please?
There we go.
There you go.
Okay. This is the profile makeover made by Michelle Basley. Basley? How do you pronounce that?
Basley. Yep.
Okay. This is a profile that she made at the beginning of this year. In our next livecast, we'll have a profile made this month. That's a surprise. This is David Orlando Goodier. How would you say that, Greg? This is one of your neighbors.
Well, if it was English, we would just pronounce it Gaudi.
He's from Ontario.
So I think I would just say Gaudi. But it probably comes from a French name, Goudier, maybe in the original French, like depending on how far back.
Yeah, maybe. Well, this is the before profile. We have a decent profile. It's short, but it has a lot of sources, and we have a photo. But you see, there was a mistake in the birth date, and Michelle had it corrected and made this beautiful profile with this awesome background.
Nice.
I love the map. So what is the map like?
I love maps.
It looks like
it's from Canada.
Michigan. Yeah.
Yes, it's from Canada. We see, I'm not sure if Michigan.
Yeah, so that's Michigan.
Yeah, it looks like Detroit,
Michigan,
on the
and then
one
it goes
side.
down into the lake. So, and there's Ontario is coming up on the other side.
Lake Huron on the other
Why
side.
did we do this?
Oh, look at
Better.
that! Oh,
Yeah.
very cool.
I've never done that.
Then we see
You see the whole thing.
Entire.
Yeah.
And he was born in Pusland, which I don't know if anybody knows, but that's where Justin Bieber lives.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
Fun fact for today.
you
nice
go.
fact. Yes, and he
You-
moved. He moved from Canada to Michigan. So the
Just hopped
the
across
image
the
is,
border.
yeah. Oh, too much. Sorry. Okay. So David was born in 1887, and the before picture we saw said he was born in 1888. So Michelle corrected that, and she gave him 8 siblings because his profile had no siblings, and it was short 1 son. So she created the son that was missing, and we have a bio now. He was born in Ontario. His parents were David Gaudi and Maria Sarah Home, and they were Mennonite farmers. His mother passed away when he was 6, sadly, and the following year the father remarried, but she was not a Mennonite. And at some point, the father left farming to work as a grocer. And in 1909, David left Canada. He moved to Michigan, and he married Evelyn Mott Paisley. There, they had 2 children. Oh, and this is, it was the second great-grandfather to Michelle.
Oh, okay.
And he registered for the draft in 1917, and he was described of medium height, stout, with brown hair and brown eyes. I love that description because sometimes you don't have a photo.
Yeah.
And
Right.
yes, it gives you an idea.
Something.
And he became a U.S. citizen the next year. He started to work in Detroit as a clerk. Then he worked his way up to salesman. And when he died, he was a district sales manager for his company. Way to go. What a life, David. Now we have all the bio. He died when he was 59. He was really young. And that's what I was telling you about. Michelle found the birth registration with the correct year because Find a Grave had a wrong, well, it says had a copy of a delayed birth record on Find a Grave. And there's this profile now. It has more sources. It's a beautiful profile. And I love the fact that we only see black and white. So yeah. It's kind of elegant.
Before color, before the world came in color.
Oh. So thank you, Michelle, for sharing your profile. And I want to say, I always do the same. I hide this. Well, I want to say to Amanda, I did see your before picture. She will know what I'm talking about. In the chat.
Good.
Yeah.
So we ready for the profiles of the week?
Go, great, go.
Okay. Okay, first of all, so our profiles of the week are all about Charles Dickens, but actually, let me just go back and show you that website that I had mentioned to Christine, our guest.
Oh, yeah.
Here it is there. Claire Genealogy, Les Oubliés de la Généalogie. And it is, of course, it is in French, but again, like we showed the other day, if you right-click, in most browsers, and if you right-click somewhere on the page, you can actually translate the whole page into English if you want. I don't know if this site, I don't think this site has an auto translate, but you can use your browser to do that if you want. And if you're searching for someone, if you have a family name, like for instance, let's see, that is one of my French Canadian family names. If I search for Cloutier and do a search, oh, do I have to log in? Certainly I do. There's a whole pile of cloutiers who are either priests or brothers or sisters. And you can click on that and you can get all the details. And I think it also includes not only the religious, but it also includes their immediate family, or at least their parents and stuff. So sometimes you'll find records here that you may not be able to find as easily in other places. And it's all run by volunteers, so it's a great site. I did put the link.
That's incredible.
It is. It's really like, I mean, the whole idea is wonderful, right? Because it's so true.
Well, I've seen like in some obituaries where you can find them on in newspapers, where they will mention, you know, sister so and so, like one of their siblings has become a nun, but then they change their name as well sometimes in the church. Yes. So they have their birth name, but then their
religious name.
Their religious name, thank you, is totally different. And how do you find somebody?
That's right. Like Sister Mary Robert, you know, could have been Cecile Bernadette when she was born, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
No connection at all, except
you can trace them.
Yeah. So it's so true. It could be, and to answer Amanda's question about the site, as far as I know, I mean, it was originally started in Quebec, but it's certainly it's not restricted to just Quebec records. Certainly, there are French-speaking religious members from other parts of Canada. I don't know how far extensive it is, but I wouldn't be surprised if you have a religious member who you want remembered, if they'll accept from anywhere. But I don't know. I haven't actually submitted any of my own yet.
What's that little chart there, Greg?
This little chart. Oh, that's
religious orders.
That's sort of their stats. 273 different orders are represented. That's a lot of orders. Over 1,158 different sources, 26,000 media, so pictures, and almost 8,000 different places represented.
Wow.
I don't know what the -1 here is. I think.
Maybe they merged.
Yeah. But the right column, the column at the right is the sum. It's the sum of.
The sum of those two. Oh. Did one of the orders get defrocked or something?
Maybe they just merged them.
Yeah, that's true. That could be it. Yes, that's right. Yeah, this is probably last month and this month, or last quarter and this quarter, sort of thing. Anyways, I just thought I'd show that because I talked about it briefly. I wanted our special guest to know about that, because I thought it might be interesting. Because she does. We're Carmelites in Montreal, I think she said, for one. So some of her members should be in here as well. So
nice.
Anyways, that's a bit of a diversion, but connected to previously, so it's not a total rabbit hole. But this week's Connection Checkers was which Dickens Christmas person are you most closely related to? And for me, it is Canadian Jim Carrey. He's only 15 steps away.
Oh.
Yeah.
15. Oh.
15.
Yeah. For me, it's
for me. Yeah, me too.
Okay, 21.
Wow. 22 for me.
Oh.
And is it Jim Carrey as well?
No, Charles Dickens.
Oh, Charles Dickens himself.
Yeah, both of us.
Yeah. Okay.
Jim's
and Alec
Guinness. I don't know, Greg, if you are familiar with her. She was a little bit of a local celebrity on her own. She would sing. She was a bus driver.
Who's
and
that?
She would sing. Jim Carrey's aunt.
Oh.
She she was well known. She would show up on the news quite frequently, but she passed away earlier this year.
Oh.
Yeah,
Does she have a profile?
No, because she's a recent. She just recently died, and I didn't see any point of doing that. So
right. What's the guideline on that? Like, what after someone's passed away, how long do we wait?
Unless they're close family, I think we want them to be at least 20 years past.
20. Oh, okay.
I think that's reasonable,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, she's not my family. Like, why would I?
Mm.
You know, I'm sure we have Jim Carrey in the tree, so that's
Mm-hmm.
enough.
That's yeah. So let's go through. I'm not going to get them done in 5 minutes. Who am I kidding? But I do know we have a hard cap because we're meeting again in an hour from now for the LiveCast. So rest assured, this will not go longer than 2 hours. That's not much of a solace to anyone, is it? So the biggest, most prolific profile of them all is not surprisingly Charles Dickens' profile himself, because not only was he a very prolific writer, so was his profile creator and team that collaborated on his profile. It is a wonderful profile, and I would recommend it to anyone to read. So it starts out like even starting out here, it tells us what the background is. So now for me, I just thought, well, that's just a black background. But if you look closely and you're not colorblind or not hard of color, you can see there's actually some texture in that, and it actually represents the mahogany, as in a mahogany writing desk.
Oh,
If
wow.
I look really closely, and you probably can't see it probably doesn't translate over YouTube very well.
It's very hard. I would not have really noticed that if you hadn't pointed it out.
Yeah.
I see it now.
You see it now? Let me just put the link into the chat so people can click on it and then zoom in on their own. So you can see that, because the YouTube it probably doesn't show all of the colors.
Right.
The subtleties are lost, but it's there. So it's very nice attention to detail. Of course, he's famous for many things, but the Christmas Carol, the famous tale about Scrooge being visited by 3 ghosts on Christmas Eve and then waking up the next morning a changed man, is among his most famous work. But he was born in 1812, 7th February 1812, and they very specifically give his exact address. Time machine, you go right back and watch through the window.
I love that.
On 1 Mile End Terrace, and they even give what the current address would be.
Yes, I'm seeing that.
That's very cool. That's almost stalkery type of detail. But I mean, it's so far back. I mean, but it's very cool.
I'm sure it must be a landmark.
It must be.
It must have a historical plaque or something.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not,
or a
this
museum.
is not secret information.
Yes.
But very cool. Second of 8 children, christened almost a month later at St. Mary's in Portsea, Hampshire. Interesting. They even noticed that they made a spelling error on his birth in the birth record. His father was a clerk, and his mother was a housekeeper. And one theme that when you read through this, there's so much of his life experience that ended up in his writing. So his father was a clerk. I wonder if there was a main character in A Christmas Carol who was a clerk. Charles himself was a sickly child. Not quite as sickly as Tiny Tim, but has some life experience there. Passed his time reading, watching other children play. His father made a decent wage, but he was a little careless with money, so they often lived hand to mouth, in genteel poverty. Now that's an interesting phrase. What do you think it means by genteel poverty?
I have no idea.
I think I interpret it as they did the very best with what they had and tried to keep standards and appearances and not dwell on being poor.
Okay. Yeah. So that's interesting.
So I know. I searched for it.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah. It's a term used to describe a state of poverty that is associated with a higher social class. It can refer to people who have fallen from wealth and may still have a connection to a higher social class.
Mm.
Wow.
Okay. So that's okay. Well, that makes sense, because if he made a decent wage, then they would be, their standard of living would be average, I guess. And then they fall down. Yeah. So at one point, he was actually sent to, the father was sent to a debtor's prison. Dickens himself, he left school to, his work got work labeling jars of shoe polish. So if you think of that, you know, the little jars of shoe polish, his job was to put the labels on them.
Wow.
Like, who knew that was a job? I mean, I guess it had to be done, but, you know, and before industrialization,
Yeah.
had to do that little job. So,
somebody had to do it.
Yeah. Wild, eh? And apparently that made it into one of his books, Little Dorrit. So again, some of his reality ended up into David Copperfield. He learned shorthand. He worked for the British Museum. He had 10 children. So he was prolific in many aspects of his life. He did have a difficult year in 1851. It was an especially bad year. His father passed away, as well as their 9-year-old daughter. And then, anyway, it goes on and whatnot. I love the quotes. I always like a good pull quote. Have a heart that never hardens, a temper that never tires, and a touch that never hurts. I think that's that's nice. Yeah. Anyways, Christmas Carol itself appeared in 1843, and that is the theme for all of these ones. So I will leave the rest of the profile to the readers at home to peruse on your own, and we'll go through some of these other people. Sir Alec Guinness, of course, notable actor, wonderful actor, passed away in 2000 at the age of 86, born in 1914 in London. Of course, is Chris Ferriola with us? Yes, he is. So of course,
Yes.
Obi-Wan Kenobi is the most important thing that he's done, I'm sure, according to Chris. But he has certainly done lots of stuff. His earlier work, Bridge on the River Kwai, classic movie there, did wonderful stuff there. He played in the 1970 version of Christmas Carol, I believe he played Jacob Marley, was his claim to this connection. And again, I think we've gone through his profile before, because the story about the fact that on his birth record, it doesn't name his father because his parents were not married. And under English law at the time, the father's name can only be added to the birth record if he's present or has given his consent. And I guess that neither of those had happened at the time. But there is a theory that Guinness believed who his father was a Scottish banker who helped bankroll his education. So there's a strong suggestion that that might be true. Or he could have just been a friend of the family. Who knows? Anyway, so very nice profile there for Jacob Marley. Then we have Alistair Sim, for many, I think, the quintessential Ebenezer Scrooge. The 1951, I think it was, film. There's a snapshot from that film, meeting Father Christmas. The Ghost of Christmas Present? Is that? I think.
Past Christmas?
Or is that past? Christmas Past, maybe.
No, Christmas Past was the little fairy girl.
Oh, okay.
And then the Christmas Present, and then Christmas Future was like
was Darth Vader. So Scottish actor, interesting, remembered for his comically sinister performances, and you can sort of see that, right, in his. If you think about his performance in that, you know, he was silly at times, so comically, you know, like he did that little dance or whatever, you know, there's some aspect to that. But yeah, for many people, that's sort of the quintessential Christmas Carol movie. Then we have James Gilmore Backus, also known as Jim Backus, who was the voice of Mr. Magoo, or He was Thurston Howell III. Lovey?
Oh, yes, from Gilligan's Island.
Gilligan's Island, exactly. So depending on when you grew up, whether you grew up watching the reruns of Gilligan's Island, or a little bit later and you like the cartoons of Mr. Magoo, those are his probably most famous characters. But he's done lots of stuff. And his connection to the Christmas Carol was he played Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol. There was a Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol version. So that's kind of funny. And so there's him with a puppet of Mr. Magoo, and then looking more like he did in Gilligan's Island. Then we have Jean Thurston Vanderpyle, who was the voice of Wilma Flintstone, and also Rosie the Robot from the Jeffersons. Born in 1919 in Philadelphia, passed away at the age of 79 in California. And so her connection to this is that in the Flintstones Christmas, along with playing the voice of Wilma Flintstone, she also was the ghost of Christmas Past. And then, of course, we can't do Wilma without Fred Flintstone. And so Henry Corden, born in Montreal in the 6th of January, on the Feast of the Epiphany, 1920, was Henry Cohen. Changed his name to Corden later on. Passed away in Los Angeles in 2005 at the age of 85. So he took over being the voice actor for Fred Flintstone after Alan Reed, the original, passed away. And there is a picture of him with Fred. And in the Flintstones version of Christmas Carol, Fred Flint, he portrayed Ebenezer Scrooge. So, because like those Christmas carols, they map regular characters onto the incarnations of the people in the past. Jim Carrey did a version of a Christmas Carol movie, Scrooged, I believe it was called, or no, it's just called A Christmas Carol. No, not Scrooged, A Christmas Carol. And there's the poster for that. Of course, he's a Canadian, and lives in the States. Does he live in the States? I think he is. He lives in the States now. But born in Newmarket, and has connections to the Hamilton area. There's a picture of poster of the movie he's in. Leslie Manville, who is still alive and a great actress, has a very, very sparse WikiTree profile, but she has a very fulsome Wikipedia article, which of course is linked in the WikiTree article. And there's a picture of her. She was also in The Crown, and but she was Mrs. Emily Cratchit in A Christmas Carol. That's what she played. Yeah, so she was in The Crown, and who was she in the? Was she?
I think it's Princess Margaret.
Oh right, yes, she was Princess Margaret. That's right. She wasn't the queen; she was the queen's sister. Yes, Princess Margaret. There it is. Yeah.
There it is.
Thank you, June Lockhart, from Lost in Space, among other things, and also Lassie. I don't know. Do any of you remember the TV show Lassie? Or ever?
Oh, of course.
Yes.
Yes.
Did it? Anyway, so apparently she was the mother in Lassie, but I kind of remember from the Mrs. Robinson in Lost in Space, and of course she also did Petticoat Junction, but she was also in. Let's see, what character did she play? Again, a Mrs. Cratchit, I believe, Belinda Cratchit. Oh, in 1938, so she would have been one of the daughters in 1938. Andy Serkis was in A Christmas Carol, another movie, a 2019 version of it, and let's see, which character was he playing? My guess is that he played. Where does it say he played? Doesn't say who he played. Let's see if this says who he played. He was the Ghost of Christmas Past. There it is.
You can't say Andy Serkis without saying my precious.
My precious, that's right. My precious past, yes. Of course, Andy Serkis is best known for, well, one of his things is Gollum. He was the voice actor and motion capture actor for Gollum in Lord of the Rings.
Incredible role. Incredible.
Yeah. But he's done so much even since then, in live action too, which is pretty impressive. Bill Murray was the one who did Scrooged. Yes, right? Yeah, there's the quote there. Living Canadian notable. And a very short WikiTree profile because he is still living, but very large Wikipedia presence. And there's the page for the Scrooge movie that he did. Rich Little, Order of Canada, Canadian comedian and voice actor, voice impersonist extraordinaire. If you had ever seen or heard him, he's amazing things. Born in the 30s, still with us. Man of 1,000 voices. Started out in 1964. Here I was born. In his first show with Judy Garland. So he's been acting as long as I've been alive. Amazing. Hollywood Walk of Fame in 83, Canada's Walk of Fame 98. It took a little longer to catch up. Member of Order of Canada just a couple of years ago. But his Christmas Carol, he had a one-person show which eventually became a televised TV special where he did all of the characters in A Christmas Carol. So imagine that. And the cool thing is the Wikipedia article here says, and he voiced each of them based on other famous people. So he used W.C. Fields' impersonation to do Ebenezer Scrooge. He used Paul Lynde to do Bob Cratchit. Johnny Carson is Fred. Anyways, like this is, I want to see this. So we got to find where this is. Like, is it on Netflix? Where is this special? Because this is something that would be wonderful to view or listen to, wouldn't it?
It is from 1979.
1970, aired in 78, 79. So I guess it aired twice. So yeah, HBO. Oh, maybe it's on HBO. But look at this. Peter Sellers, Inspector Clouseau as the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. That's interesting. John Wayne. That would be very cool to listen to. And those are your profiles of the week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Greg, that was a record.
Yeah. I went through those pretty quick. That was basically 15 minutes, which is what I'm supposed to do each week.
Great.
Oh, neat. So,
and it's only. Oh no, never mind.
Okay, so we did the wrap up about Secret Santa. But what's coming?
Connect-a-thon. We need to talk about Connect-a-thon.
We need to talk about the Connect-a-thon.
Oh,
right.
Yes.
So the Connect-a-thon is coming along, and do we have a link for that here?
It's in a Discord
there.
post.
No, that's just the free space page. Let me just go to.
So we have some teams that are new.
Oh, we have 2 new teams.
Two new teams. Let's see, this was in, which channel was it in?
Oh, great.
Okay, 2 new teams are Louisiana Roots and Notables Network. So look out for those. And then we have a number of teams that have fewer than 5 members. So if you're on the fence about a team that you should go with, please consider Globetrotters, Smoking Snakes, Team Austria, Welsh Dragons, Banyan Tree, French Fries, Musty Dusty, South African Springboks, Irish Shoncheth, Notables Network, Southwest Sunshiners, Team Massachusetts, and Twisted Thistles.
I just shared the link to the
good.
to where the links are for joining to the teams.
Wonderful.
Each team.
Yeah. And so, like we've done for the last few, you find there's an answer posted for each of the teams. So you scroll down to the team that you want to join, and then you click comment on that. Right? Yeah. So very nice. Yeah. So that'll be good in January.
Yeah.
What team are you joining?
This is a Italy time. I'm pretty sure. This isn't, because I go back and forth, right, from Italy.
He goes to Chris this time.
I'm pretty sure Chris
and then he'll come to me the next time.
That's right. That's right. I bounce back and forth.
What about you, Betsy?
I will be with the Newts.
The Newts. Oh,
nice.
That's great.
The Newts third thon, our second connect-a-thon. So we've done two connect. This will be second connect-a-thon, and we did the source-a-thon.
Nice.
So,
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm going global.
Global. That's great.
Yes.
way to go.
Beata's here.
Globetrotters.
Drumming up support for Team Austria. There we go. Excellent. And the other thing that's coming up is I think the registration's open for the next WikiTree challenge, which will be a nice
Ooh, for Catherine.
Catherine Lake Hogan.
Very cool.
Yeah, 9th to the 16th. So feel free to sign up for her challenge. Once all of the L's, once you're done elfing, take the weekend off and then start challenging.
And then connecting.
And connecting. Yeah. Ooh. Lots of stuff.
We don't want anyone to be bored.
We don't want anyone to be bored, ever. So for the week of this coming week, we don't know what the question of the week is. My guess is it might have something to do with resolutions, for the new year, but I don't know. I don't have any secret knowledge.
I think we already had, though. What is your resolution?
Right, we did. Yeah, that's
just your goals.
Yes, right, for 2025. So it's an open field.
Could be anything. Yeah. Napier is our one name study. We will play connection checkers again on Tuesday. The one place study is, I did not check out how to pronounce that. Freshava pod Zakova Hura Zadnaj Chavau. Okay. I don't know. That's my guess. It's in the Czech Republic. So there we go. I wonder if we go to that category, how many profiles are there? So information about it. Wow, this is a nice, informative free space page there. Okay. And then the Accessibility Angels are the projects featured on Thursday. Then the event featured will be the Connect-a-thon for people to sign up. Hall of Fame Friday. Meet our members. And we don't know who the member of the week is going to be, but we'll see who that is. And then we're back here next weekend, and the big focus will be the roundup of our Secret Santa Challenge. It will be January by then, 2025.
Yeah. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year. So, yeah, I think that about it rounds out the roundup.
And the year.
And
the month.
Yeah. So thank you all for joining us today. Those who are watching us live, those who are watching after the fact.
And see you in 40 minutes.
See you in 40 minutes for the next.
Yes. Stay tuned.
Day 6 of Elfmas, the 6th day of Elfmas. Anyways, take care, everyone. Have a great end of the year. Happy New Year. Bye.
Yeah. See you.